Hi, this is Roger. Thanks for dropping by. Everything in bloom on the 8th, on the 10th. Tough. And you nearly didn't get it on the 10th either, because I did my bits and pieces this morning on into lunchtime. Stopped and had some lunch, had half a glass of wine and sat down with Mojo because he's a bit stressed. Well, he's actually very stressed. And I fell asleep. As is one's wont when one loses an awful lot of sleep because one's got a very stressed cat. And I sort of woke up and got back on the computer and I thought, I'm sure there's something I was supposed to do today. And then it suddenly dawned on me, I need to do a video. So it's getting late in the day, the shadows are getting long, burning daylight here, but the Phalaenopsis, not that there's many in bloom, in fact there's only two, always get forgotten because they're not in the grow room. So I thought we'll start out here and we'll have a nice look at this one. Now I may have to, I don't need to worry about being out of focus here. I don't think these blooms are quite large, but it's against the light, so they're probably showing a bit dark. I can enhance that when I get it on the computer. Then the only other one that's in bloom is this little delicate beauty down here. Now this is not mine, this is one of Hannah's. But the chances are it's probably going to stay here now. I suspect Hannah's Phalaenopsis will stay here. She doesn't really get the time to deal with plants and stuff with her workload. So anyway, that's the only two. There's no other spikes showing or anything. That's the only two at the moment out here. And now I'll shut down and we'll go out in the grow room. Right, we'll start over here on the left and work our way round. That's the normal procedure. Although there are a few on the left for once. There's normally nothing over here. We start off with this one. This was just bought as a intergeneric, just a no ID intergeneric. It's very attractive colours. Single bloom on a spike, not good. That should do much better than that. The plant itself is growing some nice new growths now, and it's been repotted. They'll get into new media and hopefully these new growths will produce some nice plump bulbs instead of the shriveled ones we've got at the moment. But anyway, at least it produced a bloom. And then over here we've got this giant Masdevallia, giant in plant and pretty giant in bloom as well. And I've only recently noticed, look at the inside. Looks like it's soaking wet. Or it's been painted with a gloss paint on a matte background. How unusual. The whole of the centre of the plant has got this shiny substance. Now this could be that it's producing that. That could be an incentive for the pollinators. But what could be better than one than two? Soon to be three. It's the third one coming. But yeah, they've both got it. Strange. And also, if you look at it closely, it comes out round both sides and the centre hasn't got any. I reckon that's some sort of device to attract the pollinators. But yeah, very attractive blooms. The patterning behind at the very back of the flower is strange because it looks as though it's on a very pale background. That pale background is almost transparent, which is why it looks a lot lighter with the stripes. Anyway, that's we do have a Restrepia with blooms on at the moment. It's one of the larger ones as well. Larger blooms, I mean. I forget which one. What is this one? Why is the label always at the back, Roger? It is Howlise. So this is one of the ones that I got from the Eric Young Foundation. Well, I didn't go there and get it. Somebody got it and brought it out. Smuggled it out and got it back over to this country. Lovely patterning on the blooms. very attractive, and as Restrepia blooms go, quite large. So that's that one. And then we have nothing else over here. Nothing else at all. Nothing else at all. Nothing else at all. You're getting a picture here. Nothing else at all until we get round here. And the reason we've got stuff round here is because I put it round here, because when it's over this side of the grow room, I can see it from my workstation. So I've got my screen in front of me, and off to the right, through the doors, are all my things in blooms, or most of them. Right, the Dendrobium Prima Donna, nobly typed, the blooms have gone over, so I won't spend any time on that. And I don't see any more buds on that at the moment. There could be some. This cane here may well bloom later in the year. They don't always bloom in the spring, but that's the important bit. Coming back into growth. Jolly good. The Cattleya up there, which is the bright red one, the buds are moving on. They haven't blasted, so we will hopefully get those later. We've got my two Odontoglossums, although they're registered as Oncidiums, and this is an unusual set of circumstances, because effectively this one and this one are the same hybrid. You'd never guess, would you? But it was basically a cross that was recreated at Mather's, and it produced a lot of seedlings that ended up being quite variable. But they're all called tipples. Tippling. Tipples, I've forgotten that. Tippling, I think it is. Where's me tag? Tippling. So it's Oncidium registered, obviously, because the Odont name has effectively been lost. Not here it hasn't, but you know, everywhere else. But yeah, so I've labelled mine as tippling pale form and tippling dark form. But although the colouring's quite different, just check what we're looking at to actually identify that it's the same cross. The shape of the darker colour on the petals and sepals. The shape on the darker colour. Now okay, this one's more spotty, but it's got that dip in it, and it occupies the same amount of space. Yeah? And look at the lip. Patterning on the lip. It's got a distinct blotch. Patterning on the lip. It's got a distinct blotch. This one's like this one, a little bit more fragmented because it's paler in colour. But yeah. So I didn't know that until I got home, because this one, I think it was this one. One of them had a label on it, and it wasn't its registered name, it was the actual elements that went into the cross. The other one didn't have a label, it had a little tag with a number, which David actually identified from their register as being tippling. And this is the cross. And then I realised that the other plant was the same. So unusual. Nonetheless, they're two, to me, they look different enough to be treated as different plants, even though they are technically the same cross. Then over here, the Paphiopedilum, two of the blooms are going. I've never had Paphiopedilums with tails before, curly tails, but the tails go first and the lip goes darker, but there's one bloom left that is still with us basically, but that will be gone soon now. Then we'll have to wait, won't we? And then we've got this, which somebody gave me a name for it. I went and looked it up, and it's an intergeneric, and it has variable blooms to a degree. And I looked and I looked and I thought, well, it's very like that one, it's very like that one but not quite, and it's very like that one, but there was nothing else it could be. So I'm going to class that as Masai White. There's a Masai Red, there's a Masai Splash, Can't remember whether they're oncostellies or what, but I'm classing mine as Masai White, which with, I mean the colours are darkening now because the blooms are starting to go over, but Masai White has very little patterning on the lip, and the lip is either a very pale pink or actually white, and it can have little to some markings, and it's got the ribbed patterning on dark petals and sepals. So I'm happy with that name, so that's what it's going to be. There's not exactly anybody around to sort of disagree, is there? And then we've got our the last spike on the Cymbidium and the last Cymbidium spike until winter time. There won't be any more now. So we've got the growing period coming up, where hopefully in the not too distant, although it will be, won't it? It'll be at least a month. And then this lot can all go outside, and I'll just keep my eye on the weather, and if there's a threat of it getting just a bit too cold on any given evening, I can just pull them inside the door on the floor until it brightens up again the next morning. But yeah, so this is the last of the Cymbidiums, the last spike on that plant, and that is also the last one to be repotted. All the others have been done now. I haven't actually done the miniature one yet. The I've forgotten what it's called now. Sugar Plum Fairy or something. No, I've completely forgotten. It has got it is Showgirl, isn't it? Of course it is. So that one's still got to be repotted as well. Now my Victoria Regina is having a bit of a flurry, which I wasn't expecting. So we've got some blooms here, there's another couple of buds still to open, but we've got more. Some here and here, so there's another 2 lots of buds coming. There's more than that, there's some down here as well. So we're going to have a little flurry. What I would like to see is some new growth. It's all very well getting these blooms, but yeah, some growths would be good. And then last but not least is the Dendrobium infundibulum. Now this top bloom is going, so we're left with the odd one down here on this very old cane. This one's still looking okay. Lovely delicate blooms, paper thin, you can see through them. See through the petals and sepals and the lip, and as they start to fade and head towards dropping off, that gets more transparent. So but gorgeous colour on the lip, beautiful colouring. And talking of black hair type dendrobiums, because I don't think there's any more buds on this one now. Oh, hang on. Yes, there is. So this is the last year's cane. This is the cane I grew last year. This one hasn't bloomed yet, but there is a bud there. But over here, I don't normally do buds, but when the amount in bloom is so short, we'll come over here and have a look at this black hair type. We've got buds coming here. There's a bud up in there. And there's buds here, at least 2. So this is coming into bloom. Now this has no name. It's just it is a black hair type, but it has no name. But I would suggest it's probably got infundibulum in it, or Lowii, or what's the other one? The one. I've had 2 or 3 versions of it and I just can't get the flipping thing to grow. Lynn has trouble with it as well, but it could have that in it as well. But I don't believe it's a species. I think it is a cross, but it's difficult to say what it is. So what do you think it says on the label? Hybrid. If you can't be sure, you know, then you can't be sure. Simple as that. But that one grows well for me. Lovely big fat canes, and it blooms, and as black hair types go, that's probably the best one I've ever had as far as growth and bloom production is concerned. So we've got that one to look forward to, and as long as the plant is healthy and happy, those blooms last a very long time. The blooms over here on the infundibulum haven't lasted as long as they have done previously. Now that might mean that this one is suffering a little bit from the cooler temperatures and is not as happy as it once was. Whereas that other one we've just looked at doesn't seem to take any notice of the cooler temperatures. It just grows. So there we go, that's everything in bloom today. I haven't got a clue what I'm going to film tomorrow. It'll probably be a repot, quite honestly. I have got a crack on. I decided today, when I got to lunchtime, that I was going to have a lazy day, as explained by dozing off, sitting on the sofa with Mojo. So he's found a sunny spot. The sun comes through the window and he likes to curl up there, so I was sat with him. And yeah, I've got plenty of bonsai to repot, but some of them aren't going to get done now. It's gone, it's too late. The leaves are opening up and chances are I will lose some new growths if I repot them at that stage, so they might have to wait another year. It's not the end of the world, you know. I've done what I consider the most necessary ones. I just went out and had a look at my only azalea, my Satsuki azalea, and I thought perhaps we'll have a go at that because it hasn't got any flower buds on it. And I picked it up and it's an absolute mass of new growth. And there are some buds, so we will get some blooms. So that one stays in its pot. That one will get repotted after it's bloomed and the growths have matured and it's had its trim, because after blooming they need a trim. They're funny pruning mechanism with azaleas, because the buds form at the end of year 1 and bloom in year 2. So if you bloom them in the spring of year 2, you cut all your buds off, so you don't get any blooms, so you have to go careful when you trim those. So anyway, I will see you next time. Thanks for dropping by. Don't forget that promotion code is still on the go till the 17th if you want to get some cheaper merchandise. I won't say cheap because it isn't cheap, but for what you spend, the quality is pretty good, and 25% off is pretty good going, so that's still on the go. And yeah, as always, if you haven't subscribed, it would be nice if you did so, and you can come back for more videos to see some pretty blooms like that. See you next time. Bye for now.